What's up guys, Houndish here. Today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news, updates, and a lot of Bungie news this week, of course, with Marathon stuff. Open playtest has been announced, and Bungie did a weird stream, or a peanut did a weird stream, playing Marathon with the game director Joe Ziegler, and that sparked some very interesting responses, so we'll touch on all of that. But if you guys enjoyed the video, a rating would very much help us out on the channel. But now let's bish bash bosh! We'll move to the Destiny stuff in just a moment, but it was a very interesting night for Marathon, whether you're a fan or not. Bungie showed a new trailer at the Game Awards, or, oh my goodness, the PlayStation State of Play. Jeff Keighley High Guard memes, where you at? But the biggest thing to come out of that for Bungie anyway was the open preview weekend details, or what Bungie are calling the server slam for Marathon. As we've seen with Destiny, if they don't tighten up the nuts and bolts, a server slam is precisely what it could actually be, but this will take place between February 26th and March 2nd, so it's going to be quite a long open play test, ending just 2 days before the full launch, and we'll be able to carry over some progression from that test as well. So on top of a couple of unique emblems, weapon charms and things, we'll be able to bank loot rewards that we'll receive at launch. If we complete the first mission, we'll unlock the standard arrival cache. We can see it includes standard implants, runner shell cores, weapon chip mods, and a couple of actual weapons. Then there are additional caches that unlock by reaching runner level 10 and 30 respectively, with the deluxe arrival cache having a bunch of enhanced weapon chips, implants, and weapons that we'll be able to take into the full launch. So this is kind of what I expected from Bungie, to put the open playtest as close to the actual launch as possible, because one of the benefits of dropping the open preview right next to the launch is that there's minimal time for negative press or any huge dramas to kick off. I guess that's probably the goal. So let us know if you'll jump into the open playtest. I would encourage everyone to do that, unless of course you already absolutely hate the look of Marathon, then I guess there's no point. But another thing that happened, Bungie had a peanut streaming the game with Joe Ziegler. And we're talking about Burnt Peanut. I'm actually not massively familiar with this guy, but obviously he's a very popular streamer, especially in FPS titles and Arc Raiders right now being the main thing. And his chat's response to Marathon was mixed. So as Paul Tassi outlines, the Sentient Peanuts chat does not appear to be on board with Marathon. A lot of complaining about the art style and UI. Although through the course of the stream, I think it was a mixed bag. It was probably 50-50 on whether players liked the look of it by actually watching it. I think Marathon is going to be more fun to play than it is to watch personally. And I think that comes down to the kind of pace and style of the game. But as Paul Tassi says, you may not like him, but he and his stream are currently a big deal in the shooter space, especially for a younger crowd. And I think people thought this was going to be a dev stream with a lot of new info. He also said, I'm going to drill a hole in my head if I have to keep reading his chat. Boys, the chat was something else. There's a bit of discourse in the community about Bungie actually selecting these folks though. As someone said here, this looks like you guys didn't do any research into what kind of community chat Peanut has. They're extremely toxic, and this is a terrible look for a neutral who may be interested in watching. Do better next time. But as Aurora said here, if we can win over the hottest streamer for an extraction shooter right now, it should bolster our pre-order sales, and that's absolutely what it all comes down to. Regardless, the open preview will still be the biggest test for Marathon yet, and while responses have been mixed to Peanut's stream so far, one thing it does tell us is that discourse around Marathon, with that 50-50 effect where some folks really like the look of it and others are like, yeah, what's this? Yeah, I think that's generally going to be the way that Marathon is received, and it will only get better or worse when that playtest drops, so we'll find out very soon, but give us your thoughts below. On to Destiny stuff. This week in the TWID, yeah, there wasn't a lot there, but Bungie say we're continuing to work behind the scenes on many things and appreciate your patience and time as we get things cooking, which is something, I suppose. It's more than we've had in other TWIDs so far. I agree though, it certainly isn't enough. And the main thing really annoying folks at this precise moment is that Shadow and Order is supposed to be in just over 2 weeks' time, and Bungie haven't confirmed whether it's delayed or not. I do think that's bad form, but who knows, maybe Bungie were too busy writing up contracts with a peanut. That's probably what it is, actually. Next up, let's have something a bit more light-hearted. The J himself posted to Reddit right here. I hadn't actually seen this, but it's possible to boop Crota into hell by using a finisher, as we can see right here. So they've been grinding solo for their Necrochasm drop, as we can see. They go invisible and into this corner. That probably prompts Crota to actually run back to the middle. Then they go in for the finisher, and bosh! Look! Off he goes! I've always found bosses falling off maps, and especially just being yeeted into the abyss, literally, to be absolutely hilarious. They even show off the specific finisher through the heart, as we can see, that enables this to happen. So if you fancy trying it out, there you go. A little bit less light-hearted here, more general gaming news, but Paul Tassi shared, it really was Concord 2 in relation to High Guard. As Shinobi said, High Guard developer Wildflight has seemingly laid off most of its staff. Unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today, according to a LinkedIn post. Let's do a little bit of a look in the comment section. Why do they keep making these games knowing this was going to happen? Oh dear, you're on deck, Marathon. It's another win for Jeff Keighley. Well done. Looking forward to hearing that apology. I don't think you're going to get an apology. Honestly though, I'm not reveling in games failing and people losing their jobs, which ultimately is the real sucky part of this. Making games these days is, well, it's just risky, it seems. They cost so much money to produce and expectations are so high, and also, yeah, games do get a lot of hate, sometimes warranted, often not warranted to be fair, because there is also the option to just not like something and not talk about it. This week we got the free Eververse package for Valentine's Day. That had some Crimson Days shaders, an emote, and the Sunshot ornament, which is a pretty cool one. Looking to the future though, Chinese New Year falls on Tuesday, February 17th this year. And as Wilkie shared, we do know, actually, there are a few cosmetics currently available, or going to be available for that. I think these will be purchasable for silver, although Bungie typically give us a bundle of Bright Dust as well, so we can look out for that at next week's reset. East said though, in relation to this bundle, is this a distraction to pass over the fact that they completely removed Team Scorched and Momentum Control from the game? This is the Crucible Director, the traditional version as we can see here. And after the update this week, a whole bunch of the playlists just vanished. The Survival and Rumble still there, but Bungie haven't commented on it, so we don't know if it's intentional. Wata also asked, did anyone know that the node was just gone before reading this post? I said no, and so did more than half of the folks on there. It'd be nice to get some clarification from Bungie about that. And I agree, PvP has kind of been left in the dust, really, on the most part. Just this week, Joe Ziegler, Marathon developer, said, we're always committed to keeping Marathon secure and maintaining high-integrity competitive environment. This is referencing anti-cheat. And he says, as players ourselves, we genuinely understand the frustration of having a match ruined by bad actors, which is why we've done a lot of preventative work, and we're prepared to respond to any cheating situations that come up. He also points out it requires ongoing, continuous countermeasures. Considering the issues that Destiny 2 PvP has with cheaters, which has been a worsening problem really for a couple of years, yeah, I can appreciate lots of Destiny PvP folks will probably feel a bit frustrated with that statement in itself. Other bits of community commentary. Bungie, it would be great if we could have access to the Vow bow again, to go with the ornament in the Eververse store, of course. They made the ornament available this week, but I don't believe there is currently a drop source for the actual bow. It certainly would have been a nice little surprise to kind of throw it in at weekly reset as a drop or something, but I do appreciate it wouldn't be game-changing. Otherwise, I know creating new aspects is difficult, said Rocket Appliance, but it's a little ridiculous that it's been a year since the last round of light aspects. I'd say this applies to all subclass updates, especially referencing new abilities, aspects and things like that. Even coming away from Prismatic with sincerely hopes that Bungie would have further updates. I think they'd actually said they would have updates and additions for Prismatic through the year, but that unfortunately never really materialized. Who knows, maybe we'll get some this year. That feels like a big maybe. Otherwise, for anyone who may be interested, Beginning Host shared D2 Build Buddy, a loadout generator that actually reads your inventory and equips builds for you. So there's a roulette mode, a buildcraft mode, one-click equip, and you can export builds directly to DIM. On top of that, Build Buddy has actually a pretty cool UI, so if you're well into your builds, loadouts, and all that kind of stuff, which I know many of us are, we're not necessarily playing the most right now, a bunch of us, but if you're into that, it appears to be a pretty cool tool, so worth showing a little bit of support in the community right there. For today, that is what we have to round up in the Community Vibes video. Share your thoughts and impressions on the news, revelations, and updates this week, both regarding Destiny and Marathon, of course, where Bungie have had a lot to say in the past day or so. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed the recap or the roundup, a rating would very much help us out as well. But otherwise, cheers for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.